So a big thank you to my friends and colleagues. Many years ago, I met Jack Mayer. He is a professor of psychology. Jack was a friend and is a friend and a colleague. And my other friend and colleague is Peter Salovey. Peter was a professor of psychology. He now has a different job. As of 2 months ago, he's president of Yale University. And I want to thank a more recent colleague and friend for helping arrange this event and for collaborating with me in this field. Thank you. And then thank you to everyone for coming today. I really appreciate your being here. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit, give you some background on emotional intelligence, but I'm also going to ask you to practice some of the skills. And there might be 1 or 2 occasions where you share information with people next to you. When you do that, just be aware that what you talk about is confidential. No insider trading. Keep the information confidential. What I think I'll also ask you to do is to make sure that everyone participates. What does that mean? For some of the activities, we're going to ask someone at a table to be the leader, to make sure that everyone at your table listens, pays attention, and engages in that activity. So this is not just passive, where you're sitting there listening. I want to give you an opportunity later on this morning to actually practice these skills and take a leadership role in your new table groups. So sometimes you'll see this little symbol. It says we need someone to take charge and be a leader. So here's the first one. How are you? Good? Okay? Fine? That's not good enough. So what I would like you to do is maybe the first person at each table to be the leader. So if you're the leader, I'd like you to maybe bring together 3 or 4 people that you can see. And I want you to introduce yourself. Hello, I'm David. Valeria. And then you would say how you feel. And it's not good. It's not okay. You would say, on unpleasant to pleasant, I'm feeling about a 3. So I'm pleasant. And on energy, from very low to very high, I'm a 2. So hello, my name is David. I'm about a 3 on pleasant and a 2 on energy. And how are you today? And she said a 3 on pleasant and a 4 on high. And then you might want to say where you're from. You're from Peru. Okay. I'm from New York. So do that. Have the first person here and here. Everyone become a leader. Make sure you introduce yourselves at your table, your name, where you're from, and how you feel today. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that. And make sure everyone participates. This is not optional. Finish up your introductions. All right, I want to get your attention. The good news is you will have time to talk all morning. But I have a question for you. So the question is, how do you feel? How many people are in the upper right-hand quadrant? How many people are pleasant and high energy? Just great. How many people are pleasant but a little lower energy? Anyone? How many people are unpleasant and low energy? Not yet. How many people are unpleasant and have a lot of energy? Really? So unpleasant and a lot of energy. Do you need a hug? It's going to be okay. Who else? Free hugs. Another question. Does it matter how you feel? Yes, of course. Does it matter how you feel at work? Of course. No, it doesn't. You're all paid to do a job. It doesn't matter how you feel. We pay you a great salary. We give you a lot of money to work here. I don't care how you feel. It doesn't matter. Isn't that true? No. Now, what am I going to talk about? Okay. A lot of us are taught that emotions do not matter. That emotions don't matter at work. You're all professionals. You all have a job to do, no matter how you feel. And there's some truth to that. You're right. You might feel very tired or angry or sad, but you're going into work and you have a job to do. However, decades of research would suggest that it does matter how you feel. If you are very pleasant and full of energy, you're feeling happy and joyous, and that's very helpful if you're supposed to brainstorm new ideas. If you're a leader and your company is having a tough time, but you have to inspire your employees. But it doesn't always mean you have to be happy. Those of you who said you were pleasant but lower energy, that works in situations where you need to be more thoughtful or develop consensus. Let me think about that. It's also fine to be down here in the lower left, unpleasant, lower energy, to be sad. Does anyone here work with budgets or spreadsheets? I mean, if you have an error in your budget, it's okay, right? Oh, we're all friends here. It's just, what's the big deal? No errors. It has to be perfect. And if you come in the morning and you have an inspiring meeting and you're very pleasant, you're high energy, and you have all these great ideas, and then you go to another meeting, and this is with the chief financial officer, and you're talking about the budget, it's actually helpful to be not depressed, but a little sad, because it allows you to focus on details. We've got decades of research that supports that. Is it ever smart to be angry? Is it ever helpful to be angry? Do you think? At work, you just heard about your competitor. They've stolen your ideas. Anger can help you fight against this unfair practice. Anger comes from a sense of injustice. We want to make the world a better place. So it does matter how you feel. However, for this morning and for the entire day, it would be very helpful if you could stay on the pleasant side. And if you feel that you're becoming a little more critical or unpleasant or angry or sad, be aware of that, manage your emotions, and try to remain open. I'll try my best, but it's also up to you to maintain a more pleasant feeling so that you get value out of our conversations today. That's the theory of emotional intelligence. How are you? Does it matter how you feel? Why do you feel this way? And how do you manage your emotions? This idea was first proposed more than 20 years ago by my dear friends, Peter Salovey and Jack Mayer. But the reason we're here today is that some years later, a journalist by the name of Daniel Goleman wrote a book. Daniel Goleman is a wonderful writer, and his book sold millions and millions and millions of copies. And because of him, people around the world became aware of this concept. But he changed the ideas a little bit. And what I want to talk to you about today is the original scientific theory of emotional intelligence, and also apply that to you and to your lives. Just for those of you who are researchers or psychologists or know about statistics, there's different approaches to emotional intelligence. And what this slide shows is that some approaches to emotional intelligence are nothing more than standard personality traits. That's the point behind it. In our approach, and in our writing, and in our papers, and in our book, we say that emotional intelligence is an intelligence. That emotional intelligence matters. We say that emotions help you be adaptive and smart. Now, Daniel Goleman wrote a best-selling book. Our book, well, he sold millions of copies. And I think our book, we probably sold about a few dozen copies. So not quite as popular. And that's our fault. I don't write as well, but also our approach is very nuanced. It's a little more complicated. It's not always about being happy. As I said, sometimes it's smart to be sad, or even smart to be angry. So our approach is nuanced as well. Now, the old-fashioned view of emotions is that they are vestiges of 300 million years of evolution. We're told to check your emotions at the door. Emotions don't matter. This is what we're taught, especially in corporate life. That's the old-fashioned view. Here's the new view. Antonio Damasio, a researcher, says that the absence of emotion can make wise decision-making almost impossible. What does this mean? It means that emotions can actually help you make good decisions. This is a little different than what we're taught. We're taught that emotions get in the way. And you know what? Sometimes they do. But if you're smart about it, emotions can help you make great decisions. And in fact, bad decisions are the result of not including your emotions in your logical decision making. This is our view of emotion. This is our view of the adaptive nature of emotion. What is an emotion after all? And an emotion happens because there's an event. Now, is there someone here who's a little more outgoing and extroverted and could help me with a demonstration? You could? Stay right there for 1 second. So, what this slide says is that emotions are adaptive. Emotions happen due to a change in the environment. There's an event, pay attention to it. And that's, no, I saw a hand go up. You have a question? Well, your hand went up. Ah. So, this is what happened. I was talking, and I gently threw a ball, and your name? Your name is? Claudia. I would say Claudia, but I'm from New York. What do I know? Claudia, why don't you come this way? Here's what we did. I was talking, and I gently tossed the ball to you, and you had a reaction. You had an emotion, and the emotion looked like this. Right, so Claudia, let's show everyone what happened. The ball came to you, and you had a reaction, and it was, okay, hold that right there. Okay, look, come on, you volunteered. Help me out. Okay, it looked like what? What emotion is this? Surprise. 3 key features of surprise. The first one, the eyes are wide open. In fact, why don't you come up here so everyone can see? No, she's angry with me. So, why is this smart? The eyes wide open. So you can see what's going on. What is this guy doing? Second feature of surprise is, why is this smart? Why is it adaptive? So you can breathe in, get oxygen, get ready to run. Also something else. What are you getting ready to do? Scream or yell. Warn other people. This guy is crazy. I told him not to invite one of these Americans. They're all nuts anyway. We knew that. And now we have proof. So yell at people. There's a third feature of surprise. What is it? Her hands. Why is this adaptive? For protection. You don't know what this is. I was throwing something, and actually it was great. What happened? What did you do? You saw the ball, and I think you did catch it. That's very smart. Now, emotions can help us survive. Emotions give us data. Anyone here have an MBA? Be proud of it. Don't say, oh. What would an MBA do in this situation? Do you have an MBA? Okay. Not yet. Okay. An MBA would either you hire a consultant, or you do some statistical modeling, for a simulation. So you would get out your calculator, or your smartphone. We have an application here, and the application is to compute the trajectory of an object. All right, he's about 20 meters. This is an object he's throwing at about 20 kilometers an hour. The formula, does everyone know the formula to compute? Do you remember from calculus? Okay, I think we have to hire a consultant then. A team of consultants. Get back to us. You enter all the data, and I compute the probability that this object will miss me is 0.75. So what do? I can sit there at a table in this formal conference room and watch the ball go by and not go like this. That's what we're taught to do. Develop your simulations. Develop your models. But it takes time, and it's not always smart. We sometimes ignore the data of our emotions. We run our models, we run our simulations, but it doesn't feel right. Emotions help you survive. Emotions are data. And it's telling you something. You have to listen to it. Now let's say you computed this and you did your model, but you don't even know what this is. What if this is a rock? And it hits you in the head, that's gonna hurt. What if it's a pen? And I'm going like this and I throw a pen and the ink can stain your beautiful clothing? You don't have time. Emotions happen for a reason. Emotions are data. And this is the key behind emotional intelligence. Pay attention to how you feel. Know how those feelings impact you. And realize you feel a certain way for a good reason. Now you volunteered and you did a wonderful job. But I want to thank you in two ways. One is this way, but I have something for you. You stay right there, and it's not a ball. So when you do this kind of work, you have to be really, really careful to choose the right person, and you had been asked to volunteer before. So this is a, I think it's nice. Let me see what I think. It weighs a lot. This is the seal and the symbol of Yale University. So it's a paperweight. And if you get very angry with me later, you throw it at me. I mean, feel how heavy that is. That's going to hurt. So hopefully you're going to not be too angry after I did this. But I want to thank you, Claudia, for volunteering and demonstrating a really, really important point. Thank you so much. If you remember nothing else from today, you're going to remember that this crazy American threw a ball at this poor woman. But it makes a point. Emotions are data. If you have a bad feeling about something, pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. Or if you have a good feeling about something, pay attention to it. Oh, no, I'm not going to throw this at anyone, but I'm going to hold on to it anyway. So that's what we talk about. That emotions are adaptive. And the principal reason for emotions is about interpersonal communication. Does anyone here have meetings? Do you go to a meeting? Does anyone here talk to people? And so you need to pay attention to the emotions of the people in your conference, on your team, even on a phone call, video conferencing, because they're sending you a signal. If you're talking to someone and they're not interested in what you have to say, what does that look like? I won't ask anyone to stand up, but show me what it looks like when you're not interested. Turn to the person next to you and show them that you're not. You're very good at this. Show somebody. Turn to someone next to you. Just show lack of interest. Just a second. Is it important to know that you have lost the attention of the person you're talking to? That's data. Now, turn to that same person and show that you're really interested in what they have to say. What does that look like? Do it again. Turn to someone next to you or behind you. What does it look like? It's totally different. It's totally different. That's data. You need to know this. You need to always be paying attention. You must always look. You must always monitor emotions because it's data. It will help you be a more effective leader and manager. Now, emotions also are logical. Sounds kind of funny. Emotions are logical. Here's a diagram of emotions with different words. And the point to be made here is that emotions follow a path. It starts with a low intensity, it grows, and it becomes more intense. So people usually don't start being enraged. It starts with a little frustration. Your customer or your boss or the board of directors, you're a little frustrated with what you have to say. You ignore their feelings. You continue talking. The frustration grows to irritation. Irritation grows to anger. Anger grows to rage. You usually don't go right to rage. There's steps. Emotions are logical. As funny as that seems, emotions are deeply logical. And emotions are universal. So I've never been to Peru, I've never been to Lima, but I know this works here. I know it works here. Emotions are universal, not from Lima to Tokyo to Dubai to Bangalore. Emotions are universal across species. And we can prove it. So this animal in the top middle, you see that animal, what are you going to do? Run away? You're not going to go and say, oh, come here, oh, how cute, oh. Why not? What is this animal expressing? Aggression, anger, and you are afraid. All right. What about the one down here, lower right? Are you afraid of this dog, of this animal? What emotion is being expressed here? Okay. Yeah, it looks excited. Sometimes we say submission, because they want to do what? What does this dog want to do? They want to play. Anyone have a dog? So you know what the dog looks like. It's, let's play, let's fetch the ball, let's have some fun. You're not afraid of this dog. Here's an interesting one. What about the bottom row in the middle? What emotion is that? Oh, you've seen him a lot, right? So if you go out to a bar or to a dance club and you see this gentleman approaching you, well, that's that emotion. And then maybe you run away. But look, these are not humans, these are animals. And they are expressing emotion, and you understand the emotion. So this is universal. This happens all around the world. Many of you work for transnational, global, international organizations. You do business around the world. This works around the world. Why is that? Because the causes of emotions are universal. People are happy because they gained something of value. They're sad because they lost something of value. It's very simple. Now there is a little complication here. There are some individual and cultural differences. There are individual differences in what you value versus what I value. And there are differences in how we show our emotions. So for example, yesterday I met some colleagues from the university. I won't name names, but we introduced ourselves and we went up to the person and said, hello, how are you? In the United States, if I meet someone for the first time, or a woman for the first time, I'm not going to give her a kiss. I think in Peru, lots of kissing, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, Peruvian culture is much more advanced. Actually, it is, you think about it. It's expressing an emotion. There's a warmth and a welcoming attitude. In the United States, that would probably get you fired. So that's a huge cultural difference. I've done a lot of work in Japan. And people get angry at you, but they still smile and nod their head and say, hey, yes, 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 which sometimes means, Caruso, you're an idiot. It took me a while to figure that out. So look, there are differences. We recognize those, and you have to figure that out. But you have to be aware that, when you come visit me in the United States, I will shake your hand, I will not give you a kiss. Don't be insulted, I just don't want to lose my job. So, actually some days I do want to lose my job, it's so frustrating. So here's an interesting question. A colleague of mine, Sigal Barsley, who's now at Wharton, did a research study. And she asked people at work, what's the most commonly expressed emotion at work? Can you take a guess? What's your guess? This was some years ago, but it's still true today. Frustration? The most commonly expressed emotion in her study was anger or frustration. What's the least frequent emotion at work? Happiness or joy? What's the reason for this? We think the reason is that many leaders feel that you should lead through fear, through intimidation. Could you sit up straight, please, sir? And pull your chair. Yes, thank you. You need to be paying attention here. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, well then do it, all right? We're taught that. We think that's strong leadership. Sometimes anger works, but if that's your main strategy, you can alienate people, make them feel bad, they become defensive. It's not very helpful. The problem with joy at work is that many of us think it's unprofessional. So for instance, if I went up to you instead and said, and your name is Fernando, would you mind standing up? If you don't have to. So joy, at least in America, would look, hey, how's it going? Yeah, okay. Yeah, come on, you're really wonderful. All right, Fernando, baby, yeah. Do a little dance. Yes, he's a good dancer. You're a great dancer. So thank you for that. So, joy can seem unprofessional. And that was kind of unprofessional on my part. I apologize. Thank you for being such a good sport. So you're going to have to find a way to express positive emotions in an authentic way. With a smile. With a thank you so much. I read your marketing report. I have seen a lot of reports. I must say this is one of the best I've ever seen. I cannot begin to thank you enough for the hard work that you put into this. It's going to really change the way we view this market. Thank you. That's the way that you might say it. You're going to have to find your own way. We say find your own voice. An authentic way to communicate these emotions. And don't be like these stereotypical leaders. Anger is easy. Anger is really easy. The professional expression of joy is a lot harder. Think about your own experiences. Think about the people that you've worked for. And you need to find a way to express that joy in your own manner. Now, by the way, this is the reason why our book is not a bestseller. Right? Because it's on the one hand, on the other hand. So we talk about moods and we talk about emotions. A mood. I'm in a bad mood, I didn't sleep well last night, and I didn't have time for my coffee. So, an emotion is throwing the ball. It's an event. So this is not just about feeling something. It's taking the feeling and asking, why do I feel this way? Where is the feeling coming from? Is it because I didn't have my coffee? Or is it because there's something going on? I read that marketing report, and there's a statistic in there that surprised me. I better pay attention to that statistic. I better ask for another analysis on that. I'm going to go ahead and share some other things. So, when we talk about emotional intelligence, we talk about 4 abilities. The first ability is perceiving emotions. If emotions are data, you need to look at people and try to perceive how they feel. Is your audience interested, or do they lack interest? Is your boss angry after your presentation, or is he or she happy with what you have to say? This is very hard to do. Not everybody is good at it. The reason it's important, we say emotions are data. You're all in business. Emotions are a form of data. And that's why you need to pay attention to it. Here's the second ability. It says use emotions to facilitate thinking. Again, we're taught that emotions get in our way. Leave emotions at home. But as you remember before, how you feel influences how you think. And as a leader, sometimes you need the team to be more focused, checking the budget. Sometimes you need to get buy-in, and so they need to be more reflective. Sometimes you need the best out of your people. Times are tough, but I need your best thinking. I need to inspire you. I want to hear new ideas. We need new ideas in this organization, not the same old ideas. What are you going to do? I trust you. I know that you're smart. What can you give me? You have to inspire people. The key is to match this mood to the task. There's another part of this. Your ability to do that, to generate a feeling, will give you what we call emotional empathy. The best leaders feel what others feel, not just understand it. I feel your pain. I feel your frustration. I feel your excitement in this team. I feel it. I'm with you. If you want to establish strong connections, this ability is absolutely key. Unfortunately, it's also very hard to develop. From our experience, this is probably the most difficult ability to develop, emotional empathy. Now, the easiest one is this one, understanding emotions. It's vocabulary. It's learning words. So rather than saying, how are you? I'm good, I'm fine, I'm content, I'm satisfied. I'm not quite joyous, but I'm extremely happy this morning. The other part is doing what we call a what-if analysis. MBAs, business training, you do a what-if simulation. What if the market does this? What if our competitors act in this way? What we say as a leader, do an emotional what-if analysis. I'm meeting with my sales team tomorrow morning. Unfortunately, business has not been as good as we thought. I'm going to tell my sales managers that the commission is being cut slightly. Ask a question. Are they expecting this news? Well, they shouldn't be surprised. Have you ever heard someone say that? They shouldn't be surprised. Usually when someone says that, they are surprised. So, do your emotional what-if analysis and change your message. Change the message so that they are less shocked, less surprised, and make sure that they don't get angry at it. And then the last ability, 4 of 4, is managing emotions. And this sometimes means maintaining how you feel. So when I asked you earlier, most people were pleasant. I want you to stay on the pleasant side. That's up to you. Engage in emotion management to stay focused and open-minded. A few people were not. They were a little unpleasant, which can close you off to thinking about these ideas. Your job is to change how you feel. Become more open. Ask yourself, can I learn something today? Can I apply one of these strategies? My job is to also maintain your focus. My job is to maintain your attention. My job is to maintain your interest. So I walk around, I go like this, I throw balls. It takes both of us. It takes me to manage your emotions, but it also takes you to stay focused, to attend, and to listen. Now we put this all together, and we call it our emotional blueprint. I like that. It's very logical. We have a really logical approach to emotions. And we say that you can use this approach to solve really difficult workplace problems. You ask 4 questions. How are people feeling? How is your team feeling? 2. How do these feelings influence your thinking? Is the team sad? Are they angry? Are they content? Are they happy? Why do they feel this way? What caused these emotions? And how do they change? What could happen during the morning? What can happen during this meeting? 4, manage emotions. What will I do to manage the emotions of my team? And me as well as the leader. Many of you do this already. We just make this a little more formal. How do I feel? How does my team feel? How do these emotions influence our thinking? How will the emotions change? And how do we manage our emotions? Now we can measure this thing called emotional intelligence. And we have an assessment, a test that was mentioned. So if you look at the cartoon, this is very funny. And most people are laughing. They're laughing and laughing. And just as you are right now, you're laughing. Okay, well, never mind. So there's 3 ways to measure something. And you can ask someone, how emotionally intelligent are you? And that's interesting, but it's not usually very accurate. Because if I am not good at reading people, I'm not getting good feedback. Anyone here play football? Anyone here play basketball? How good are you? So 0 to 10, how good are you? Maybe a 5. Okay. Would you volunteer to demonstrate something? And you played basketball. Would you mind coming up as well? You get the easy job. As vice president, let's observe her and think about, would you just walk back and forth? Just walk back and forth. Think about how athletic she is, from 0 to 10. Just think of a number. Okay. This is what we're going to have you do. If you stand here, and would you stand here? What does a basket look like? A basket in basketball. Right, perfect. Now, by the way, if this hits you, see, it's not going to hurt. I'm going to give you 5 throws. If you miss it, any accountants in here? Is someone an accountant? Chief financial officer? Must be so. Could you come up, please? You also have an easy job. I could have asked for somebody who does internal audit as well. So your job is to keep score. So if she, 2 points, 0 points. 5 baskets, the score can range from 0 to 10. Oh, good. See? Good training. Okay, your decision is official. No argument. No argument. Okay, 5 chances. Okay, thank you. 3 ways to measure something. You said, I think you said about 5. Perfect. A 360 degree feedback, you do this in your organizations. Now when we do that, it's confidential. We don't know the source. Would you mind just turning around? Okay, now show me on your hands, 0. What did you rate her on her basketball ability before you saw her? So just show it. Okay, can you compute? So, all right, I'm thinking, what do you say about, thank you, 6.25 on average? Yeah, you think 6? 6 point, maybe 6.1. Let's just round it 6.1. Okay. Self-report, 360, 6.1. What was your performance score? 4. 3 different ways to measure something. If you're the coach of a basketball team, which of those 3 methods would you use to select your players? Ask them how good they are? Ask for the crowd? Or have them play basketball? Have them play basketball. Now, because sometimes we overestimate and sometimes we underestimate. And unfortunately, there's also a gender difference between men and women. One of those 2 groups overestimates their emotional intelligence, and the other of the 2 groups underestimates their emotional intelligence. That's what the research shows today. I think it's wrong. I mean, that can't be right. I mean, so I don't think men overestimate their emotional intelligence. What do you think? You don't think so either. Yeah, I agree. So we're going to continue to do that research and disprove that. But right now, there are some differences. So thank you for doing that. You were very good. Thank you for being certified audit. And thank you for being my best. Thank you. This is really important. If you ask people how good you are at something, they tell you and they can be wrong. Sometimes, you were very good. You impressed me, actually. Yeah, that was very good. Also calm under pressure. So it was great. It was great. So we have a test. We have an assessment. And rather than asking how emotionally intelligent are you, we show them a picture of a face. And we'll say what emotions are expressed in that face. We have 140 of these kinds of items. Then we ask people, how good do you think you are? And they tell us, and they're usually wrong. Correlation is very low. Those of you who know statistics, correlation is 0.17. That's really low. So people get really surprised. Here's another surprising thing. So this talk is on emotional intelligence, and so you might expect me to say emotional intelligence is the most important thing in life. It's not. It's not. The most important predictor of success at work is intelligence. Did anyone here go to university? You are all really smart people. Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that? Yes. You really are. And so the problem is, if you're really, really smart, and you have excellent technical skills, if you're a little smarter than someone else, it doesn't matter at work. So other skills become more important, like emotional intelligence. But keep this in mind. IQ is a great predictor of success. It's really important to be smart. Your technical skills are incredibly valuable in your organizations. Never forget that. We are not saying that it doesn't matter how smart you are. It really does. We don't say your technical skills are unimportant. They are important. But once you have that, it's time to work on another set of skills. To be a really fabulous leader, you need a little bit more. And one of those things you need are these sets of skills. What does EI predict? A whole bunch of things. Pro-social behavior. How good your relationships are with people. Bringing a team together very quickly. These are some of the outcomes, and I'll go over just a few of these. Leaders who have this ability are more able to create a positive work environment. These are the people that you want to work for. They're smart, they have technical skills, they're high in emotional intelligence. They create a work environment and a climate that is very attractive and really supportive. EI predicts not just what you do or what you accomplish, but how you accomplish it. This is a very important finding. It's more about how you do the job. It's more about the climate. Now, no presentation would be complete without a picture of your brain. We are so early in this field. I think in 5 years from now, if I were to show this slide, people would laugh because it's so old and we learn so much each day. But what this says is that people who are more emotionally intelligent, they don't need to spend a lot of processing to solve social problems. It comes quickly to them. It's like second nature. It's very quick. They don't have to work hard at it because they're so good. They are natural athletes in terms of emotions. And as I mentioned before, this also works across cultures. We have a study that I wrote with colleagues in China, and we studied several different cultures, and we found that there's more shared features of emotional intelligence than there are differences. So again, we really feel that our assessment works across culture. what we're going to do is give you some practice at each of these abilities. And we're going to start with perceiving emotions, or perceiving and expressing emotions. And this one is a key ability. It's important for these reasons that you can see here. It helps you to communicate. It helps you to identify problems. So I would like people, a new leader at each table, or each half of the table, to make sure that you bring 3 or 4 people together and talk about this. Ask the question, what emotions do you see being expressed in your organization? And here's a list of them. So find a leader, make sure everyone participates, and at the end I'm going to just ask you for your results. Just spend a few, like 4 or 5 minutes. Do you understand what I'm asking you to do? Go ahead, thank you. Make sure everyone participates. That's what a leader does. A really quick question, what emotions are you seeing? Shout it out. What's going on out there? What's happening in your organizations? What emotions? All of them. Anyone seeing a lot of happiness? Curious, interesting. Yeah, really? That's very unique. I do this around the world, and it's rare to see joy or happiness expressed. Any anger out there? A little bit. Sadness? It's interesting. What emotions you see is a function of culture, of corporate culture, of the economy, and other things as well. But it's an interesting question. What emotions are most commonly expressed in your workplace? As a leader, what do you have to do with it? Are these emotions helpful, or do they get in the way? Really interesting questions. We'll explore these when we come back from our coffee break. So I will see you in about 20 minutes or so, Peruvian time, I think. Yes? So we'll see you soon.